I never thought a single message could change the course of my life. But the moment I saw those words on my husband's phone, I knew nothing would ever feel the same again. Don't forget, your wife can't know about us. I wasn't supposed to see that message, and yet there it was, clear as day. And it didn't just hint at betrayal. It confirmed every fear I had buried deep inside. By watching this video, you'll see how small signs we often dismiss can reveal the truth, how trust can be manipulated, and how confronting a hidden betrayal changes everything. You'll also witness the strength it takes to face the unimaginable. And if you stick with me until the end, you'll gain insight into recognizing red flags in relationships and the courage it takes to reclaim your life. Please subscribe, because sharing these stories allows me to create more real-life accounts of betrayal, revenge, and resilience for you. It began on an ordinary day, one that felt like every other day of my life. I was at home, finishing some laundry, my mind preoccupied with work and errands. My husband, as usual, was supposedly out running errands and attending to business matters. I didn't think twice until I saw his phone left unlocked on the kitchen counter. Normally, he was protective of his device, always keeping it in his pocket or bag. Something urged me to pick it up. I don't know whether it was intuition, curiosity, or just a tiny flicker of doubt I had ignored for months. The moment I saw the notification pop up, my heart skipped. It was from an unfamiliar number. Hesitant, my fingers swiped the screen, and there it was. Don't forget, your wife can't know about us. The words froze me in place. My chest tightened, my stomach churned. I read them again, just to be sure I wasn't imagining things. My husband's name was right next to it. My mind raced. Who was sending this message? Who was the us he was hiding from me? I didn't confront him immediately. I couldn't. My instincts told me to observe, to gather evidence before facing the unimaginable truth. I began noticing the small inconsistencies I had previously brushed off. Extra phone calls late at night. Weekend trips he claimed were for work. Names whispered over the phone when he thought I wasn't listening. Receipts from restaurants, groceries, even little gifts. Traces of another life carefully hidden. And slowly, my heart sank as the pieces started falling into place. The more I investigated, the clearer it became. This wasn't a single mistake or a brief indiscretion. It was a full-blown secret life, one he had created 3 states away. There was a woman, a home, children, and a family he had kept entirely hidden from me. I booked a flight without telling anyone, each mile of the journey fueled by disbelief, anger, and a desperate need for answers. I couldn't sleep on that plane. I stared out the window at the clouds, trying to prepare myself for the devastation I was about to confront. The life I thought I knew, the life we had built together, was nothing but a facade. When I arrived, the small town felt too quiet, almost unnervingly peaceful. But inside, I was a storm. Driving through the streets, my eyes scanned for anything familiar. And then I saw it, his car parked in front of a modest house. I pulled over a block away, my hands trembling as I watched. The woman emerged, followed by 2 children laughing and playing. And then he appeared, smiling at them in a way he hadn't smiled at me in years. My breath caught. The reality of it all struck me harder than I could have imagined. This wasn't hypothetical. It wasn't a possibility. It was real. Every lie, every alibi, every fake business trip, every excuse, it had all led here. He had created a parallel life while I remained completely unaware. I debated what to do next. Should I confront them immediately? Or wait and observe? I decided to watch first, to understand the full extent of what I was dealing with. As I observed, the woman interacted with the children naturally, smiling, preparing snacks, carrying out routines that should have belonged to me. And he was living it completely, fully, shamelessly. Hours passed as I studied them from my car. I felt rage and heartbreak coursing through me, each moment of normalcy in their lives a dagger to my chest. Yet, even as the anger consumed me, I realized I needed him to see me, not just as the wife he betrayed, but as a woman discovering the full scale of his lies. He needed to understand that I had finally realized the truth. Eventually, he stepped out of the house. When our eyes met, the smile that once seemed familiar froze. He stiffened, his carefully crafted mask cracking, and I felt something powerful, clarity. I had been deceived for years, but now I had the advantage of truth. I approached slowly, my shoes crunching against the gravel. The children paused, sensing tension. The woman's expression remained calm but guarded, aware that something had shifted. I spoke first, my voice barely above a whisper. I need to know. How long? He hesitated, the weight of his lies pressing down on him visibly. Almost 5 years, he admitted. 5 years. I wanted to scream, to collapse, to erase the last decade of my life. 5 years of stolen weekends, missed birthdays, fake excuses, and secret smiles. 5 years of living a lie that I had thought was reality. The woman stepped forward, attempting to explain herself, to soften the truth. I didn't know you'd find out. I never wanted this. I cut her off. You never wanted this? Really? Because it looks like you built a life with him. Kids, a home, everything I was supposed to have. How is that not wanting it? Her silence spoke volumes. I understood then that they had underestimated me. They had assumed my ignorance would continue indefinitely. They had assumed I would never connect the dots, never take control of the story. I looked at the children next. They were innocent, unaware of the chaos their father had created. And it hit me harder than anything else. The betrayal wasn't just mine. It belonged to them too. I need the truth, I said to my husband, my voice firm despite the pain in my chest. Every lie, every hidden moment. No more secrets. He spilled everything. Weekend visits, hidden birthdays, vacations under false pretenses. He spoke hesitantly, but every word confirmed my fears. Each detail compounded the shock, each admission breaking a piece of the trust one had built my life upon. After hours of confrontation, I stepped back. My mind raced. I had seen everything, heard everything, and yet I didn't know what my next step would be. Confrontation, revenge, walking away. It all seemed both impossible and necessary. I left that day with my heart heavy, but my mind clearer than it had been in years. I realized that the person I had trusted completely was not who I thought he was. And in that moment, I discovered something even more important. I was stronger than I ever knew. I couldn't leave yet. Something inside me refused to walk away without understanding the full scope of what I had uncovered. The betrayal wasn't just in the message or the hidden weekends or the house 3 states away. It was in the life he had carefully constructed while I was living in a lie. I drove around the block, watching them through the windows. The children laughed as he helped with homework. The woman stood nearby, her smile calm but just a little too rehearsed. And it hit me. The life he had hidden wasn't a fleeting mistake. It was routine. It was planned. And it was real. I didn't know whether to feel anger, sorrow, or disbelief first. Maybe all 3 at once. The anger burned hot, a physical sensation in my chest, but the sorrow crept in quietly, a slow, aching weight. And disbelief. It lingered everywhere in the air, in the light of the sun on the lawn, in the way they moved as if nothing was wrong. I knew I had to confront him again, not just to hear the truth, but to see his reaction when faced with the consequences of his own actions. I got out of the car, each step heavy but determined, and approached the front door. He saw me before I knocked. That freeze, that flicker of panic, told me everything I needed to know. "This is not a coincidence," I said firmly. "You can't act like this never happened. I know everything." His eyes widened slightly, the carefully practiced calm slipping away. I didn't expect you," he admitted, voice wavering. "You didn't expect me?" I repeated, incredulous. "You built an entire life, and you didn't expect me to find out? You think 5 years of lies can stay hidden forever?" The woman stepped forward. Please, let's just talk calmly. Talk calmly, I snapped, turning toward her. Do you even understand what you've done? You've taken someone's life, someone's marriage, and you've twisted it into your own story. And the children, do you even see the impact on them? The children were looking at me now, sensing the tension, but not fully understanding. And my heart ached for them. They had done nothing wrong, yet they were caught in the middle of a deceit they didn't deserve. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I need to know why, I said. Why did you do this? How could you lead two lives and expect no one to be hurt? He hesitated. I never meant for it to go this far, he said quietly. I got in too deep, and I didn't know how to stop. Too deep? I repeated, disbelief cutting through my voice. You call 5 years of hiding a family from your wife too deep? That's your excuse. He lowered his head. The weight of his guilt was visible, but it didn't lessen the pain he had caused. And in that moment, I realized something important. The apology wasn't enough. It never could be. The trust that had taken years to build had been destroyed in seconds, and no amount of remorse could rebuild it. I needed to see the extent of his deception. I asked him to show me. Slowly, hesitantly, he led me through the house. Every corner, every room, every photograph on the walls screamed of a life that was never meant to intersect with mine. Children's drawings, toys, family photos, all proof of a secret that had existed for years. I felt my hands tremble as I touched the edge of a photograph. There they were, him, the woman, 2 children smiling, oblivious to the chaos surrounding them. And suddenly I understood fully. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was every day, every moment, every memory he had created for this other life while pretending to be my husband. I turned to him. How do you live with yourself? I asked, my voice breaking. How do you look at me every day and know the truth and still pretend like nothing is wrong? He didn't answer. There was nothing he could say that would repair the damage. And that's when I realized the most terrifying part. He hadn't just deceived me. He had become someone I didn't recognize. The man I married, the one I thought I knew intimately, was gone, replaced by a stranger who had mastered the art of lying for years. The woman spoke again, softer this time. I didn't know you'd come here. I never wanted this to happen. I shook my head, cutting her off. Don't speak to me about wanting or not wanting. You knew what you were participating in. You knew he had a wife. You knew the truth and chose to ignore it for your own life. And now you are part of a web that has destroyed everything I thought I had. She said nothing. And in that silence, I realized something vital. They had underestimated me. They assumed my life was static, my trust unbreakable. They assumed I wouldn't notice the signs. But I had noticed. I had seen through the lies. And now I was in control of the narrative. I stepped outside, taking a moment to breathe in the cold air. I needed to think. I needed clarity before I made any decisions. And as I looked at the house, at the life that should have been mine, I felt a strange mix of sorrow and empowerment. Sorrow for the years lost, for the lies endured, for the innocence stolen. Empowerment because I had uncovered the truth, because I had faced the unimaginable and survived. Hours passed as I sat in my car, replaying every interaction, every word, every glance. I thought about the choices I had to make. Do I confront him further? Do I walk away quietly? Do I expose the entire truth to everyone involved? The weight of these decisions pressed down on me, but I knew one thing for certain. I could not return to the life I had before. That life no longer existed. Finally, as the sun began to set, I made my way back to my hotel. I needed to process, to breathe, to let the reality sink in. And as I sat alone that evening, I realized the depth of the transformation I was undergoing. Betrayal had a way of reshaping you, breaking you down and forcing you to rebuild stronger, wiser, and more aware. I thought about the children again, how innocent they were, caught in the middle of a web spun by 2 adults who had no regard for the truth. My heart ached for them, But I also knew I had to focus on myself, on reclaiming my life, on learning how to live again after the deception. And that's the lesson I want you to take from my story. Betrayal doesn't just affect your relationship with the person who deceived you. It changes the way you see the world, the way you trust, and the way you move forward. But it also gives you a choice. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it awaken a strength you didn't know you had. I spent that night thinking about every detail I had witnessed, every lie I had uncovered, and every moment I had been unaware of the life my husband had built. I knew that confronting him was only the first step. The next steps, decisions, actions, boundaries, would define the rest of my life. And as I sat there, the question I left myself with and now with you was this. If you discovered your spouse had a life hidden from you, a family you didn't know existed, how far would you go to uncover the truth? And once you found it, how would you choose to respond? Would you seek confrontation, justice, revenge, or reclaim your own life quietly and purposefully? The next morning, I woke up with a resolve I hadn't felt before. I knew I couldn't just leave things as they were. I had to see the full truth, to confront every lie, and to decide once and for all what my life would look like moving forward. I returned to the house, my heart pounding, knowing that this visit could change everything. The children were already outside, laughing in the yard. The woman noticed me first, her eyes widening slightly, her smile tight. My husband looked up from helping the kids with a small project on the porch. He froze when he saw me again. I didn't hesitate. I walked straight toward them, ignoring the tension in the air. "We need to talk," I said firmly. He swallowed hard, guilt written all over his face. I know," he murmured. "I need to know why you did this," I said, my voice calm but edged with steel. "How could you lead two lives for years, knowing it would destroy everything I believed in?" He looked down, and for the first time, I saw true remorse, not just fear of being caught, but the weight of the lives he had hurt. "I don't know how to explain it," he said quietly. "I never meant for it to go this far. I thought I could manage it, but I was wrong. Wrong." I repeated, my voice rising. 5 years of lies, 5 years of betrayal, and that's your excuse? There are children involved. Innocent children who have no idea that their father has a wife waiting somewhere else. The woman tried to speak, but I silenced her with a glance. This wasn't about excuses anymore. It was about accountability. I needed him to see the damage, to understand that the life he had hidden was not just a secret. It was a wound that ran through every person involved. I stepped closer, forcing him to meet my eyes. "Do you understand what you've done? Do you understand the years of trust you destroyed, the life you took from me, the innocence you took from your children here, and your children with me?" His voice was barely audible. I see it now." "Yes, you see it," I said, my voice breaking, but my resolve unwavering. "And you should, because you need to feel the weight of it. Every lie, every betrayal, every day you thought no one would notice." For a moment, everything was still. The children looked on, sensing the tension, but not fully understanding. I turned to them, my heart aching, wishing I could shield them from the pain of adult mistakes. And then I realized something important. Their innocence was not mine to protect, and their lives were not mine to fix. But I could control mine. I took a deep breath and stepped back, giving myself space to think. "I'm not here to punish you," I said to him, "but I am here to reclaim my life. And that means making choices that protect me from further lies, from further betrayal." The truth had been revealed. The secret life had been exposed. And in that moment, I understood that the most powerful thing I could do was decide what came next, not for him, not for the woman, not for anyone else, but for me. I walked away slowly, feeling the weight of every lie lift slightly with each step. The anger and sorrow were still there, but so was clarity. I knew that moving forward would require strength, but I also knew I had the power to shape my own life from this moment on. Driving back to my hotel for the last time, I reflected on everything I had seen, everything I had learned. Betrayal is a force that can destroy you or awaken a strength you never knew you had. And I had discovered that strength within myself. By the time I boarded my flight home, I knew one thing with certainty. My life would never be the same. But that wasn't entirely a bad thing. I had survived the unimaginable, uncovered the truth, and faced the man I once loved with courage and clarity. And in doing so, I had reclaimed the part of myself that had been hidden, silenced, and controlled for too long. I share this story with you not for revenge, not for scandal, but to show the reality of betrayal, the way it sneaks in, the way it shatters lives quietly, and the way confronting it head-on can awaken strength you didn't know you had. So, I leave you with these questions. If you discovered your spouse had a secret life, would you follow the trail like I did? Would you confront them directly, or step back and reclaim your own peace quietly? And once the truth is revealed, how would you choose to respond? Because the answer isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your life, your power, and your voice. And that's exactly what I did. And what you can do too, if you ever find yourself facing the unimaginable.